But this is a response to the emulation question, whether it's good, bad, ugly, or the good, bad, and ugly aspects of it. He brought up some good points that I didn't really think about, and that's for some of these older systems that are becoming more and more aged, and they don't work like they used to, and it's becoming harder and harder to find working systems. And the ones that do work, it seems like it's only a matter of time till they're on their last leg. And it might be that in the future the only way we're really going to be able to play some of those games is by using an emulator of some kind, be it a PC or a or my modded Xbox or whatever you want to use, to put them on there and play them. And I've never really thought about that, and that is a good point, a really good point about emulation. It stems back to the fact that I've always said, me being a collector and not a hardcore gamer, this is one time when this works in reverse. If I was just a straight gamer and just cared about playing games and that was it, emulation would be the best thing in the world, because I would never really have to put any money out. I can, I don't know, as far as the old ROMs and stuff go, you can usually find those pretty easily. I kind of went on a big kick in the mid-90s, late 90s, and downloaded ROMs like crazy. So I have a ton of ROMs. ROMs are a little harder to find nowadays, but I have the whole Nintendo library, probably a good 100 games for the Genesis and the Super Nintendo, and some miscellaneous games for other systems, be it the TurboGrafx, Sega CD, the MAME emulator, and others. I have a Nintendo 64 emulator, Game Boy, things like that. And it's just one of those things where if I was just a gamer, I'd be in hog heaven. I'd have so many games I wouldn't know what to do with. But the fact is that I'm a collector, and really I've kind of become more of a picky collector. I really am getting to the point now where I want my stuff complete. I want it boxed. I don't want loose cart stuff unless it's something that's almost impossible to get a hold of other than loose cart, and I've been pretty fortunate with some of my finds, the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles in Time, in box, and just random things that I've found. But I'm not gonna pass up a copy of Sword Quest, Waterworld, or pass up a copy of Texas Chainsaw Massacre, which I do have, because it's a loose cart. I'm not gonna pass up something like that. But as far as my collecting goes, that's the reason why I don't really care for emulation, is because it's not the same either. I'm kind of skipping topics here, but it's not the same to play it on an emulator. It's something about the way the computer processes it and stuff. It just doesn't seem the same. Even if you're using a real PlayStation controller and you're playing PlayStation Emu, it's just like it's not exactly the same. So the bad part of it is ROMs, for the most part, they always tell you, you're not supposed to have these ROMs unless you have the actual game, and then you're permitted to have them, but other than that, you're not supposed to have these things. And that's the bad part, because then you get into stuff like software piracy and things like that. And do you really consider it piracy to have these ROMs, and if you don't have the games and things like that? And I'm one of those people that if I could afford it, or if I, could find it, I'd buy it. But if I can't and I want it and it's there, why not take advantage of it? That's kind of the way I look at it. But to tell you the truth, I take that back. I take that back. Recently, I found a site that had a lot of 3DO ROMs on it, and I used the ROMs this time. I burned them to CD and played them in the actual machine because there's no lockout, just to see if I liked the game enough to warrant buying it, flat out. Because if I buy it, I want to buy it complete in the box, and I want to know if the game justifies, in my mind, that kind of cost, So I did. I downloaded some ROMs, burned them onto CDs, and played them on the actual machine just to see if it worked, or if they do work, but if it's worth something I want to pay for, to buy. So as far as like playing emulation and stuff on a regular basis, I don't do it. So, a lot of times if you see gameplays on my channel and they're like Nintendo or something like that, I probably use an emulator on my computer to film the NES or the Super NES or Genesis stuff, because it's got a record feature right in the emulator, so it's just easier. I don't know if I'm answering this question. To tell you the truth, I don't have a problem with emulation. I know it's harder to find nowadays, the ROMs, and if you guys can find them and you can't afford them and you want to play those games, go look for them. And if you are a hardcore collector and want the originals, then go get the originals. I'm not such a stickler that I feel like I have to dig out my Nintendo because I want to play Kid Icarus. I'll play it on the soft modded Xbox, and I'll enjoy it, and I'm not gonna sweat it. But I do have a copy of it, and I do have a copy of it on my a Nintendo to play it on too. So I mean, it's just one of those things where the point be known, like Mark said, eventually all these systems are made out of materials that are going to decompose, and it might be the only way these things exist is in data form, and it might be the only way we're going to be able to play them is through DLC, the dreaded D word, and emulation and ROM. So that's just the way it is. And as far as my thoughts on it are, I always try to buy the game if I can, and if I can't, then I don't need it that bad, or I'll look for it, but if I can't find it, it's one of those things. So I don't know if it's good or bad. As far as piracy and stuff goes, I don't look at it the same way, because I don't go out and try to work around lockouts and things like that in order to get like 360 games or PS3 games or something like that, or Xbox, PlayStation 2 games, and work around the lockout and all that to play games. So I find it a little less harmful to the actual gaming world to download these old ROMs from the systems from the 80s and early 90s when things were different. So that's my take. I don't know what it really answered. It's probably more of a ramble, what I think of emulation and emulators, and that's what I'm going to say about it. As far as emulators go, I think they're kind of awesome. I mean, a lot of games back in the day didn't have save states, or you couldn't save it. I mean, you had a password, or there wasn't even a password, and you'd have to, like Ninja Gaiden. I mean, at least now you can save state it and fight the guy, and if you die, you can, boot the save state and go right back in and try to beat the asshole again. I mean, it's not like you gotta leg through it and just keep putting up with it. These games where you have 3 guys and you die, and that's the game, and you get 1 extra guy at 250,000 points. I mean, that's crazy. So as far as that goes, save states, being able to record my video straight to video format stuff right out of the emulator, and you know, not having to take up all that space with all those systems. I mean, those are all pros to the emulator. But I'm a collector. I want the big pile of crap. I want every console original, and I want to be able to play the original game on the original console. That doesn't stop me from throwing a Sega CD game into my modded Xbox if I want to play it, and I don't want to dig the Sega CD out and hook it up, you know. So that's all I got to say. I think I said that already. And I'm going to sign off. You guys are probably sick of this shit. Sign off already! So, yeah, I'm going to go in. I'm at the family store, actually. I'm going to cruise in here and see if they've got anything. Probably not. I might take the camera with me, but I really don't foresee any big bargains. But let's roll in, see what they have. And I picked up a couple of things at the other thrift store, and I've got some stuff to do pickup videos, so you'll be seeing those in the week to come. So thanks, folks, for putting up with this, and I'll talk to you later. Bye.